Welcome back to another video. Last week I jumped on a plane and went to Dallas, Texas to meet up with Tin Can crew members James Smiley and Adam Ryan. Our first stop on this trip was to Dobyns Rods. Gary Dobyns himself gave us a tour of their shop, showed us some custom lures, and gave us a detailed background of his rods and company. Stick around to the end of the video to find out how you can save 40% on Dobyns Rods.
Man, you have it, man.
Ryan.
I'm Gary.
Nice to meet
you. How are you? Guys, you look so familiar. Like, I swear to God, we've crossed paths somewhere.
Maybe. I don't know.
You have a very familiar face.
Do I?
Yeah. Yeah, so we're going to rig this out. That's why we brought this.
But these things are pretty stable.
Yeah, and dude, I bought this for $200.
Really?
Yeah, and they're going to put, I mean, I bet you they're going to...
We're going to go into a little bit more detail on this build in an upcoming video, but for now, let's take a look around Dobyns Rods.
Who's making the spinnerbaits? I'm having them made. Oh, I did a design on stuff all over I made them. Dude, I tell you, I just made baits that I'd have problems with. Okay, I've always been a spinnerbait chucker.
In case you missed that, James asked Gary, who is making your spinnerbaits? Gary replied by saying, I'm having them made. I just made baits that I was having problems with. This stood out to me because I think it's extremely relatable to Tiny Boat Nation. A lot of us are limited by budget or resources, so we take these aluminum boats and customize them to fit our needs. Gary needed baits that could perform better and were more efficient, so we made them.
It looks like crap. Yeah. So I fixed the head. I put a longer hook in it because I hate trailer hooks. It's got a longer hook in it. The blades are actually titanium coated, so they're really light and they spin super fast. I didn't even know they made them. This is one, the main reason why I made a swimbait head is there were a lot of A-rigs. They always slide down. This has got a 4-barb keeper on it. It's got one on each side. These are little concave back in. We get more bite. You will not, you need to put that Kitech on there straight because you will not pull it back off without ripping it. But once you put it on there straight, no super glue, nothing. I mean, it's just stuck it on there one and done until that thing breaks. I just made it because I got tired of my swim bait sliding down the barb of my hook. Every color has got a place to be on that spinnerbait. It has to be there. It's hand tied, but if you look, every one of those strands is side by side by side around that bait.
That is awesome.
One lady ties these, she ties 300 a day.
Wow.
I couldn't tie 3 in a day. Another problem bait that I just made to solve a problem, something that I fish all the time. I mean, you nail weight a Cinco, that bait should just about be made illegal, in all honesty. I mean, it catches them everywhere. You can't hardly do it wrong, but I like the shorter nail because if you take one of those big long nails and you slide it up into a Cinco, it makes it really rigid and it takes away a lot of the action of the bait. So I don't care if this little lead ball's hanging out, that's stuck in the bottom anyway. You know, that's always gonna be at the bottom.
I did not know that Dobyns made baits, and I was really interested to hear about the rods. Some of them have changed over the years, and well, some of them haven't.
When we started the company, we started with 2 series, Champion and Champion Extreme. Basically a 220 to 250 rod and a 330 to a 350 rod. And that's all we had for the first 7 or 8 years. And dealers are asking for more, price point. So we come out with the Xtasy Series, which lasted a long time. And I made a change on it. I made a cosmetic change on it. I changed the guides on it, and I changed the cork on it. And so we changed the name to Seirra. And we still have the Seirra Series to this day. And then dealers, again, it all comes about what dealers, it's what, their reaction, what they're saying they need. And so we came out with the Fury Series, and actually that's a 119 rod, $119 retail rod. We sell, I mean, honest to gosh, we sell tens of thousands of them. It's a price point rod, but it's a really, really good rod. And I've still got dealers wanting something lower, so we came out with the Colt Series and limited models in that, and it's a $79 retail rod. And then I got to thinking, we were always a high-end rod company, I mean, I want to be known as a high-end rod company, so I'm like, I'm gonna make a high-end rod. So I made the Xtasy. The name scared me to death. My daughter talked me into it. I was terrified of using that name, but you know, it's been 100% positive. People hear that name and they remember it, all right? So that was the thing. The Xtasy is our top of the line rod. It's $550 retail rod. 4A grade cork, you know. No, there's no one using any higher grade cork that I'm aware of. The only higher grade is if you get into some of the fly rod cork, you know, flour and some of that stuff, and they are, but the price of it's ridiculous. So 4A grade cork, little cosmetic things, you know, I have to make them look pretty. I mean, I get a lot of questions on weight. I build rods for balance, not weight. I only use the best material, so they're gonna be light. But like that little thing right there, that little aluminum piece, it adds weight. Cosmetics add weight, that's all there is to it. You know, I've got a lot of coatings on the rod that add weight.
Why is that important to have weight down there?
It's, yeah, balance. You know, and this rod will just sit there. You put a reel on it, that sucker will sit there and balance right there all day long.
And that's really almost impossible to find.
People will think it's lighter. It's automatically more sensitive, because if you've got a rod just resting in your hand, you feel everything on the tip. If you're fighting to lift that tip up, that's a bad deal. So, you know, Fuji reel seats, I'm fanatic about that. If somebody makes a bad foot on a reel, you know, I'm just saying, hey, we use Fuji reel seats. It's the standard. You know, a little cosmetic stuff, you know, again, all this stuff adds a little bit of weight, but these rods come in super, super light still. To me, if you're gonna pay $550 for a rod, it not only better perform the best, it better look halfway cool too. It's just a rod that's got the best of everything, and if you haven't had one of these in your hands, it's, it will spoil you quickly.
Wow.
Yeah, it's, you know, pass that around to these fishermen here. It's
light. It feels that light because that's how well balanced it is.
and that's the thing. It's like I'm gonna tell you, there's lighter rods on the market,
but it didn't feel heavy at all.
It's a super light rod, and you pick it up, you just like, oh my gosh, the thing is, there's just nothing to it. And I personally fish 90% champion models. That's how good that series is. Truthfully, I've never changed it other than cosmetics. It is an older design rod now, but you know, I used such good materials when I built it that it's still, to this day, it's a very light, well-balanced, strong rod. This is the split handle version. I have always kept the colors, you know, the blue and the silver. But I personally fish 90% champion rods, and you know, being the owner, I could walk out with all X's if I wanted them, but that's not what I want to fish with. I mean, these rods, they have their place. And anything you want is in the Champion Series. I don't care if it's a swimbait rod, a flip and stick, a finesse, light finesse rod, we have it. It's got like 78 models.
Gary was kind enough to take us through a tour of his office where he has a few public land elk that he's harvested, as well as took us into the warehouse to show us where the rods were made, stored, and shipped from. If you're interested in seeing these products for yourself, I will leave a link in the description below to their website. Gary gave us a ton of 40% off certificates to pass out to you guys, so if you're interested in saving a lot of money on a new rod, be sure to follow the Tiny Boat Nation YouTube channel. As always, subscribe to my channel. We have a bunch of content coming to you guys from this Texas trip. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.